Hello, my name is Timothy, and I'd like to welcome you to, welcome you and thank you for joining the Soulful Celebration. Today I'm going to make a birthday card using this superheroes stamp set from Ledoux Designs. Most of the product I'm going to be using is from Ledoux Designs, and I'll kind of explain what I'm using as I get to it. I pre-stamped this image so I can start with coloring. Coloring is one of the main things I like to do when it comes to card making. So I'm going to be using Copic markers today, and usually when I color, depending on the size of what I'm coloring, I'll use sometimes I'll do a 2-color combo, other times I'll use a 3-color combo. So today I got 3 different colors for each color family that I'm using today. So for her skin tone, I'm going to use E37, E35, and E33. So let's jump right in. Sometimes when I color dark to light. Usually I color dark to light, but sometimes I color light to dark just to, I guess, introduce the light color to the paper first and then go back with the darkest and end with the light color if I need to go over everything. Sometimes it looks good enough and I just leave it as it is without going over it a second time with the lightest color. So it just depends. Make sure you always give your marker enough time to dry because it looks different once it dries. So you might think something looks crazy, and then once it dries it will look a lot better. Okay, so let's just go ahead and do the E33 over all of her body. Okay. And of course I cut this image out ahead of time just to kind of save some time. So this company, Ledoux Designs, also sponsored this event. So they are giving away a gift card to their shop, which if you haven't checked it out, I would. They have amazing stamps, shaker bits, 3D elements that are perfect for your craft station. Okay, so next color is E37. So this is the darkest color. And so I'm just going to go above the ear and around her hairline. And down the side of her face, and then kind of taper off towards her chin. Okay, like that. And usually I do the left-hand side is my shadow area. That's just like my go-to. And then we will do her underneath side of her arm and hand. And then we'll just go up the sleeve a little bit. And let's just go ahead and do where those lines are in her hands. And then a little bit on the thumb. And I think that is good. Now we're going to go in with E35 or E35. I think you're supposed to say 35 because the different numbers mean different things. So speaking of that, Sandy of Ledoux Designs is having a retreat in April of this year. And she is an amazing artist. Well, first of all, she's an amazing person. She's super, super sweet, super, super talented. She's an amazing instructor. I can watch her videos all day. But she's going to be having a retreat in Nevada, and she's going to be teaching coloring. So I learn a lot from her. I still have a lot to learn as far as coloring and everything. Like, I love doing it, but I always feel like there's more to learn. So she's going to be having a retreat. It's called Spring into Color, and you can find information about that in her Facebook group, which is Friends of Ledoux. Let's see. So she's going to be teaching Copic markers, Olo, and Ohuhu. So whatever you choose to work with, she's going to like cater to you and make sure you learn how to color different images using different markers, which I think is super, super cool. So I'm just going back in. I decided to go over everything with the lightest color, which is E33. And that just kind of helps blend everything together. This is one of my go-to combos for brown skin. I feel like it's a really nice shade of brown. Not too dark, not too light. All right, so we're done with the skin tone. Next, let's do her hair, which is gonna be brown. I'm also gonna, no, not this one. I was gonna say you could use this for skin as well, but not this combo. It would be super, super dark. So I'm gonna start with, I'm gonna be using E49, E29, and E39 in that order. So I'm going to start with the darkest, E49. So this is just an example of how sometimes I do dark to light, sometimes I do light to dark. So it really just depends. So for her hair, since it's super textured already, I don't have to do anything extra as far as adding texture to her hair. But I'm just going to start on one side and just kind of draw little lines towards the center, but they're all coming from, right now, the top of her hair strand. And then as I move to the side of her hair, it'll be on the other side. Well, it'll be more so on like the left side, not so much the top. But just going in, concentrating on each of her pieces of hair. And I'll show you a little bit closer up before I move to the next color. But just going in, drawing little lines, not trying to make them all similar. Usually when I'm doing hair, I don't try to have it too uniform. I feel like the less uniform, the more realistic it looks. However, if you wanted to just color it all in, you could do that too, but I feel like this way will add a little bit of dimension. And yeah, I just like the way it looks. So now going on the side. And it doesn't have to be super perfect, just kind of make sure you get some of each of the three colors in there. So that's what it looks like, just some lines. Okay, we're gonna do the same thing on this side. Let's see. Yeah, I think we'll do the top part and then we'll come in from the left side for this side of her hair. So some things some things I do the same all the time. Other times I switch it up, but it's just a preference thing or what I feel like doing for the day. But I don't really like a bunch of rules when it comes to crafting. I just kind of do what I think looks cool. And like I said, I'm always learning, watching different artists color and find new techniques and everything from just watching people who I enjoy their work. So that's how I learned how to color better, by finding people that color really well and just kind of learn from them. All right, so that was E49. Next, I'm going to do E29. So this is a really cool combo. I don't even know where it came from. Like I said, I learned from a lot of different people. I used to do color swatches and just kind of write down different combos. So I'm sure I got it from somebody, but I don't know who. Okay, so I'm basically just going over what I already did, extending out those lines, and just making sure that I leave room for the final color. And I always love, in a 3-color combo, adding the final color because it just makes everything look cool. Oh no, I thought I missed a strand, but it's in there. My eyes are not as young as they used to be, so I find myself using a lot more light when I color. And I think I just need to get my eyes checked because I do color a lot and I don't want to have my eyes straining if they are. Okay, so I'm just going over with the mid-tone. And I think this will be the last of the browns. So if you don't have time or patience to color like this, you could definitely just do 2 markers, a light and a dark, and you'll still get some good results. Never want crafting to be overwhelming. All right, so this is E39. So this will be the final color. This one goes in really quick because you already did the time-consuming part with the first 2 colors. So she is wearing a headband, so I'm going to make sure I don't color that. And I don't have to be super careful except around the edges, so I don't want to go out of the lines. But yeah, the time-consuming part is over, and you can just go in and fill in the rest of her hair. So the paper I'm going to be using for this card, the paper she's going to be standing on is from Ledoux Designs. And then some more of the pattern paper is paper that I found at Michael's. It's called Kente, and it's double-sided. I'll show you in a little bit, but it's a really pretty paper. Okay. Almost done with her hair. And okay, I think we are good. All right, so that was E39. Show you up close. Okay, so I picked out colors for this image inspired by colors in the paper, which I will show you now. So this is the double-sided paper, which I love those colors. I think they're so beautiful. And then that's the other side. It has some gold foil in there. So that paper inspired me to use the colors that I'm using in this design, as well as the solid colors I'm going to be using. Let's see, let's start with orange. So I colored this image before, and I kind of want to color it up a little bit different today. So I think her pants will be orange, so I'm going to use YR09, YR07, and YR68. So I'm going to do dark to light, starting with YR09. And let's see. Yeah, so she does have flames on the bottom of her pants, so I think I'll do the top of her pants in orange, and then I'll do red flames at the bottom. So sometimes when I do videos, I'm recreating a card I've already done, and so I'll kind of know how I'm going to color it already. For this, I knew what colors I wanted to use, but I didn't know where I was going to put the colors. And so you can kind of see, I guess, my thought process and all that. So like I said, I usually like to put color, my darkest color, on the left-hand side. Sometimes I'll go and just add like a little bit of it on the opposite side. Not too much. Okay. So that's YR09. Next, I'll use YR07. And pretty much just go over what I did. Orange is one of my favorite colors, as well as red and yellow. I like bright colors. But I've found that I also use a lot of purple. My mom's favorite color, I think that probably has a lot to do with it. My mom's favorite color is purple. And I know a lot of people in the craft community's favorite color is purple as well. So I tend to use that a lot. All right, that was YR07. Next, I'll use YR68 for my final color. Okay, next I will jump to red. This is one of my go-to combos for red. I'm going to use R46, R29, and R35. And I think for the flames, I'm just gonna do darker at the bottom and kind of ombre upward. So it'll be lighter at the top of the flames. Okay. R29 for my next color. So I knew I wanted to color for this event, and so I feel like that will take up majority of the time, and then I can throw together a card pretty quickly. R35 for the next color. Because I know personally, if I spend a lot of time coloring, I don't want to spend as much time putting the card together or creating a card. I just like my stamped image to kind of be the focal point and the main attraction. Okay. That's how she's looking so far. All right, let's see. So we have green and black. I think I want her jacket or her coat to be green. So I chose G28, G19, and G07. Literally just came up with this combo today. All right, so like I said, I like to go on the left-hand side of each section. And then if there's like a little line that the artist drew in there, I feel like that's kind of showing depth, I guess. So that would be considered like a shadow area. But of course, like I said, when you're coloring, you are the artist of the project that you're doing. So do what you feel looks good. Okay, so let's do this left-hand side. And this other arm. Okay, I think that is pretty good. Next, I'm going to go in with G19. Just going over what I did. Sometimes I'll extend a little bit further. But for the most part, just kind of going over what I did, making sure to leave room for the final colors. If it's a small area like that, you can just fill it in with the mid-tone. Okay, we'll go down that side a little bit. Okay, this side's pretty small of an area, so we'll just leave a little bit for that final color. Okay, just do a little bit there. What I love about alcohol markers is they love to be layered. So you could always go back and add, like if you feel like you didn't add enough of the shadow area or something like that, then you could always go back and add on top of what you did. And I like how this looks so far. Okay. All right. Let me go back to the orange and I'll just do, maybe we'll just do the lightest orange for the top of her pants. So we'll do YR68 and I'll just color that in. I don't really think I need to add any shadow or anything there. Let's see. I think I'm gonna do black for her shirt. So whenever I'm doing black, usually I do black in grays. So I'm gonna use my cool grays in C10, C9, and C7. Actually I'm gonna do C9, C7, and C5. So I'll start with my darkest, C9, and go around. Okay, C7. And C5. And we'll do the lightest for the top and the bottom of her shirt. I don't know what you call these little areas. Let's see. Maybe we'll go back in with brown. We're gonna go back in with red and do her headband. So I think I'll use all three colors. So I'll start with strong, which is R46. And just kind of go towards the edges and work towards the center of this section. So R29. And then just have the lightest in the middle. Whenever I'm doing an outfit, I don't like to have colors too close to each other, like going up the image or down the image. I kind of like to break it up a little bit. So I would never give her like a black headband just because her shirt's black, unless she was wearing all black. Let's see. For her shoes, what do I want to do for her shoes? Let's see, we could do brown. Yeah, I think I'll do brown, or do I want to? I think I'm going to do black, actually. Since her hair's brown, her skin's brown, I'll do black boots to tie in with her shirt. And I'll just use the same markers. I tend to do that if I have a green combo. I tend to use that somewhere else in the image and not necessarily picking another 3 shades of green. Just kind of go with the markers that I already have out. Okay, so I'm just gonna go around that left-hand side. Okay, C9, next is C7. Most of it will be C5, just because there's a lot of detail in the boots. And so if you use the lightest marker, you can still kind of see some of those lines. That's why I don't really like to use black, because I feel like black can take away from the outline image. So C5, and you can see how you're able to still see the shoestrings and all that. Okay. Okay, now we just have to do her eyes. And a really cool thing for eyes with brown skin, I love to use orange, believe it or not. So I'm gonna use R07. Top of her eyes, and then I'll do YR, did I say R? YR07 and YR68 for her eyes. Plus she's a superhero, so she deserves some cool eyes. Let's see. I think I'm gonna try to lift a little bit of the orange. I'm gonna go in with E33 and go over the orange just to add a little bit of brown in there. Okay, I like that better. So our image is done. Okay, so now we can move on to building our card. So the cardstock I'm using is from Stampin' Up. The red is Poppy Parade. This is 10 by 5, scored at 5. What we're gonna do is square card. And so I'm just gonna go ahead and symbol. The orange is Pumpkin Pie. That is 4 3/4 square. I always like to have a little border around my cards. And of course I love using liquid glue because you get to kind of place it where you think you want it, and then you have that little bit of room to get it exactly where you want it. So see, like there, I moved it a little bit too much. So I'm gonna add some more glue. And we will try again. Okay. All right, better. Okay, so before I add the rest of the solid cardstock, I'm going to add this pattern piece of paper. So I just cut it at 2 inches, and I really like, so this piece is going to go on top of this. So I really love this combo together, but I don't really love this piece next to it. I don't know, it doesn't seem right to me. So I'm going to cut this down. Bring in my trimmer, and I'm just gonna, let's see. So I'm just gonna cut that to where I can extend the pattern. So I want it to look like that. So it looks like it's a continuation of that same pattern. So that's just a little trick that I wanted to show you. If there's ever certain pieces of paper that you want to use, but it doesn't extend the whole way, and you're going to cover it up with another layer, then you can definitely just cut it in half and no one will know. All right, so I'm gonna use the grid to kind of figure out where I want my paper to be. Let's see, we'll just go with there. So I'll put that there to know. Okay. I don't think I think I did make one card with this gold, black, and red pattern. Okay, so I'm just gonna line that up there. And then, yeah, okay. So, and I'll just line this up, making sure I just have the pattern that I want exposed. Okay. All right, so we can go ahead and just cut off this excess. Okay. All right, this piece of paper is also Stampin' Up. It's called Shaded Spruce. This is 3 1/4 by 4. This pattern piece of paper is from Ledoux Designs. It's the Comic Universe paper. Has some really cool designs. This is the piece of paper I'm using, and I actually cut it from, so I got my image and decided what piece of this paper I wanted her to be around, so I wouldn't just do one corner or anything like that. Like, I literally find the area of the paper I want to use, placed her, and then measured around her so I could have exactly what I want. So that's what I did for this piece. So we'll go ahead and glue this down. This is also gonna leave that border for us that I like. So if this paper wasn't so busy, or I didn't want that to be like a focal point, maybe I would stamp something on the orange or emboss, but I feel like because of what's going on with this paper, it doesn't really need much else. All right, so let's go ahead and glue this piece down. Just want to make sure we, of course, cover up our little surprise there. So I'm just gonna make sure it's covered up and kind of have it towards the bottom. Okay, so I'm gonna grab some dimensionals. These are from Stampin' Up! As well. These are my go-to. I love these dimensionals. They're easy to peel off the backing. I remember buying double-sided tape before, and I had such a hard time peeling off the backing that it kind of made me a little bit crazy. But with these, they come right off. Okay, so I'm just gonna add behind her hands. We'll just use this one for her foot. Okay, by her jacket. And I love using these, so you might think I use a lot, which I do, but I just love for everything to be popped up, just so I don't want anything sagging or anything like that. Okay, so we need another small piece for her hand. And let's do, well, we'll do one there. And then do one there. Okay. Now I'm just going to take off these backing sheets or pieces, or just backing. Take off the backing. See how quick they come off? Okay. Now we'll just add her. Let's see. Okay, I think I want her right about there. All right. And I chose not to put a sentiment on the outside just because I feel like in my head, when I give someone a card, they are gonna display it on their, I don't know, shelf or something. So I that's how I craft, in hopes that someone's going to display my card. And so even though it's a birthday card, if I don't put happy birthday on the outside, they can leave it up longer. They can leave it up all year and no one will say like, why do you still have that birthday card up? So I'm using some sequins. So these actually came from the Designs as well, from the Royal Flush shaker bits. So they have like playing cards and other elements in there, but I just needed the red sequins. So whenever you're crafting, remember to shop your stash, what you already have. Go through your Christmas stuff and see what can be used for, I don't know, another holiday or something. Okay, and we'll just do, I usually do 3 embellishments in some sort of triangle situation. All right, and so for the inside, I cut a piece that's the same size as the orange, which is 4 3/4 square. And I'm gonna go back to the stamp set and grab Wishing You a Heroic Birthday. And I am just going to grab an old school block. And I think I'm going to use, let's see. Yeah, I think I'm going to use red ink. So this is Stampin' Up! Ink, real red. If I was thinking, I probably would have gotten the same Poppy Parade color ink, but I was using this red earlier, so here we are. All right, and so I'm just going to stamp that in the center. Wishing you a heroic birthday. Okay, and I can add that to the inside. Okay. All right, we are all done with our card for today. Thank you so much for being here with me. I hope, like I said, you're enjoying the celebration. I also wanted to show the card that I made previously using the same image, colored up differently, same background paper. Like I said, thank you so much for being here. I hope you learned something and I hope you're inspired to create. Enjoy the rest of the day, and I will see you soon.